2 weeks from tonight, you're going to be counting returns and declaring winners. I'll be honest. At this point, it doesn't look like there's going to be too many nail biters. We are that close to election day. I want to check in on, again, a couple races we'll be watching closely. And Andrew, we're starting off in Nassau County?
We are, and we're going to go to the race for the county executive. It's a rematch of 2009. It's pitting the current Republican county executive, Ed Mangano, up against the man he knocked off in upset fashion by less than 800 votes, Democrat Tom Suozzi. Last time this race was polled, it was dead even, so you figure with the GOP brand all tarnished in D.C., advantage Suozzi, right? Wrong. Last week's Newsday News 12 Siena poll put Mangano way out in front, up 17 points and over 50%, but that may have less to do with D.C. than it does with the individual men in this race. Mangano's got 52% in this poll, but when you ask if you want to re-elect the county executive, only 48% say yes, which means that it may be Suozzi that they don't like as opposed to necessarily loving Mangano, if these numbers are accurate, Rich.
Can you explain this one, Ellis? Because for me, listen, Ed Mangano, I think he handled himself pretty well in Hurricane Sandy, but, I mean, finances in Long Island have been an unmitigated disaster right now, and Suozzi left under his own cloud. But that all said, I'm surprised this thing isn't within the margin of error.
Yeah, and be careful with the poll. I mean, we know this will be a low turnout election. We know that a significant, I didn't see the numbers in the Newsday poll on this question, is how many Nassau County residents can name their county executive. I mean, it's you know, it's not exactly like we're polling a presidential race, but the candidates could not be more different. I mean, philosophically, they're different, temperamentally,
stylistically, absolutely,
in any way you want. So it will be a fun race in that respect. We do get a choice.
I mean, but you think about it. If you're an electorate who doesn't even follow it, you lost your Islanders, right? There was the disaster that happened at the Coliseum here. The financing had to be taken over, you know, by state control in effect, or. There's not too much of a huge success story that comes out, but I guess property taxes, like in Westchester, are part of the argument for it could have been worse.
Yeah, let's wait a couple of weeks on that one. I'm not pretending to know.
We only have 2 weeks to wait.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well,
can't wait anymore.
2 weeks in a day, we shall know.
Well, 2 weeks also, we'll know who the next mayor of New York City is going to be, and after
we
3
already
terms.
know that one, by the way.
Well, I think we do. We got 2 debates, though, Dom, still in there, and Andrew, you look at poll numbers. This thing, you know, this thing's got Blowout City written all over it.
Well, the latest poll number, it's 3-1 advantage for Bill de Blasio over Joe Lhota. All right, it's not quite 3-1, but it's close. De Blasio's up 68-24 in the latest poll, and you know, if Lhota's going to make up any ground, he's going to need a better performance than he had during the last debate.
You start talking about if I'm some type of national Republican. Don't lump me in with people who I'm constantly in disagreement with. It's not the right thing to do. I went and I talked to the Tea Party. When I went, there were things that I disagreed with them on and things that I agreed with them on. Do not lump me with the national Republicans. It's unbecoming.
It's unbecoming. By the way, if de Blasio needed any more help, he got it last night. $1 million fundraiser with Hillary Clinton by his side, Rich.
You almost feel bad, Dominic, for Joe here. That said, he does the debate where he keeps telling what he's not for an hour, and then the next day he puts out an ad here that said the big bad 70s are coming back here, so you know, lock up the women and children. It was a pretty scary spot. We played it. What's he got to do tonight, if anything, other than hoping, you know?
What do they call that commercial? $1 in a dream?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm advising Joe Lhota,
well, he's got 2 choices, right? I mean, you've seen both approaches.
No, he doesn't have any choice.
You can throw the kitchen sink at
He
it.
doesn't have any choice.
Or you can say, I'm going to leave a little bit of dignity because I know I'm getting smoked 2 weeks from today.
See, his problem is, Lhota's problem is what it was when he got into this race. He would probably do an excellent job running the city. He's already done that. But you have to have major personality when you're the mayor of New York City, like Ed Koch. And Joe Lhota doesn't have the personality. This is, in fairness to Lhota, Democrats outnumber Republicans 6-1.
However, absolutely right. But you look at Giuliani, okay, and you look at Bloomberg. And I know
Giuliani had personality, and Giuliani was Mr. Crime Buster as the U.S. attorney. Big difference. And Giuliani lost his first run for mayor, so he didn't succeed either.
It's just amazing the campaign he's run, though, because on one end he keeps trying to tell everybody what he's not, and if he's going to scare people, double down and try and scare the bejesus out of everybody. But then on the same end, he keeps trying to have it both ways. And
but when you have a 6-1 Democrat to Republican, and you've not had a Democrat in office, there's this pin-up desire to get the Democrat back in.
But give
De Blasio's beatable.
Give him credit, though. No, I mean, Bill de Blasio, who's run a very good campaign here. He came out of the pack from way in the back. He was not expected to win this thing. He positioned himself in a way that
Is that
New
a
Yorkers
credit to him, or is that an indictment on the field?
You know, it's politics. I mean, it's also a good campaign with his kid. It was a message that was right for the time. Stop and frisk was becoming unpopular. He seized on that. But you know what? That's how you win elections, right?
So we're not thinking the greatest rope-a-dope in political history from Joe Lhota tonight?
That's not a margin of error. That's a canyon of error you're talking
The
about.
bottom line is he's a competent candidate. He'd do a good job if he was elected.
But your point, though, if you just laid the two resumes of the men together and said, all right, New Yorkers, which ones do you feel more comfortable running most powerful city in America? Joe Lhota was the deputy mayor and stuff. You look at de Blasio's record, it is light. And I'm shocked that, Joe Lhota hasn't pointed that out at every opportunity. Instead, he's, talking about crime, and people read the paper the next day. It's at record level lows, right? And he keeps telling you he's not a Tea Party guy. He hasn't made an argument for why they should vote for him.
Are you suggesting he's a poor candidate?
I guess.
Yeah.
We've seen a few this season.
think so.
All right. Now, when we come back, we're going to switch gears on RFL, and it's a headline we've certainly covered way too many times. And we're going to probably do it again. This time, a 12-year-old child taking a gun from his parents' home, bringing it to school, opening fire with deadly results. We're going to try and make sense out of something that obviously you can't. But we're also going to be asking, what, if anything, should we do different going forward? Obviously, guns have a common thread here throughout this conversation, but what about some responsibility of the parents of the child who is the shooter? We're going to get into that conversation straight ahead.